recognize that we have a quorum for the meeting. First order of business is approval of our July 16, 2019 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion that we approve the minutes?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are passed. Chip, you want to give a brief overview about the airport operations?
Well, as of, Kyle's been out of, I think he's up for training for 2 weeks. Before he left, we had 6 of the directional signs out and 1 runway light out. He's waiting parts for the directional signs.
The directional lights, are they transformers, or I think they were transformers?
Well, I think the way it is the bulbs are like, the first bulb's out, all 4 of them are out, so he's gonna replace the bulbs first, and then if that doesn't
And then
fix
try
it,
to
then
do
we'll transfer. And he might have already checked the bulbs, and he might be waiting parts for the transfer.
I got that email or that text too, so he'll be back in Monday?
No, I think Friday, this one. And he said he'll check the lights as soon as he gets back.
All the real lights and happy lights were.
Except for 1 runway light, everything was working when he left, and I haven't had to do anything.
Okay, anything else?
I mean, nothing new on NOTAMs, they just got one off of the UR, switch off of the wheel, and nothing affects us operationally. And one thing, I read the minutes from I went here last month, but we had the runway strikes power wash, but not the taxiway strike. Kyle did it when he had it done first time, he did the taxiway striking, and he's gonna do that when he comes back.
That would be a capital item.
So it'll be a capital item. So that was, they did not do the taxiway, he's gonna do that.
Okay. Anything else?
All I had.
Update on the insurance. You remember last meeting, Robbie Robinson gave us a kind of overview of our insurance, and one of the things we kind of asked to do is maybe look at the flood insurance, and he's got quotes. I'll pass them around. I think for the south hangar, it was about $3,800, and for the north hangar, it was $6,800. That's just for flood insurance for the 2 hangars. We can talk about it, obviously. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Did it get any water in April 2014?
I don't think so.
The T hangers all flooded in April 14. They about that much water.
How about the south end?
They're good.
You can ask Kyle, but I don't think.
We got some real problems when those 2 flood.
They're at the top of the hill.
And we've already got flood insurance on T-Hank.
I don't think so. I'll ask.
I'd rather have flood insurance on
Well, I do
T-Hank.
too. We kind of went through, yeah.
They didn't flood in 14.
What would be damaged in a flood in the T-Hangers? If somebody's plane, for instance, got damaged, is it up to them to have a contents policy for that, or is it up to us to insure the plane? So, I mean, there's really nothing but a metal shell, is it?
That's it. A couple of them have toilets on the end of them, but other than that, it's just.
So, I mean, is that worth insuring? I guess it would depend on the cost.
We spent a lot of, we spent $400,000 doing drainage improvements.
And that helped a lot.
Probably 2015, so I think that it hasn't flooded like that since 2000.
But anyone that was based out there, I didn't hear any complaints from anyone.
And then I
If
hear-
your plane got damaged, your airplane insurance.
But you got that much in there, right? And that's barely getting up to the.
You get it in your
rim of-
wheels and it's an issue, it's a maintenance issue, but it's not the end of the world.
And that was 1,000-year rain.
So what are your pleasures about the northern side hangars?
Talking about the T-Hank?
No, I'm talking, I'll bring back.
You're talking about those two?
on these.
I'd say no.
Well,
I would say no.
okay, so
That's gonna be a real unbelievable flood. if that
it's on a hill, like you said, we have to really. So we'll tell Robbie we're not interested in this, but I'll bring back some some proposals for the T hangers, and we'll look at that. That's what that, all right. Number 6 is updating the power washing painted northernmost T hangers. That's a work in progress. Guys, he's power washed it, he's primed it, he's been out there for a while. He did one in band, but I think it looks better. It looks lovely. I think it looks better. So, he's got I was out there this morning with him. He's probably halfway through it. Well, that's not true, because he's done all the power washing and priming. So he's just painting now. He's doing it, he's doing a brush, he's not spray painting or whatever. He gets the flames out of it as we need to. I think it's gonna look nice. So that's where we are. Hopefully by the next meeting, he moves slowly, because he's an artist. I'm not an artist, but he's a very good painter. That's kind of where we are. And I would like everybody to look at it. I'm not advocating doing it to the other hangers, because they're not that of shape, but I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, the other hangers, the paint's getting kind of dead. You can put your hand on it and you'll have white paint on it.
That's what he did. He
It's not
power washed them first and got all that white off. Then he primed them, which would have, and that helped.
bad.
And then he's using really good industrial paint. I mean, it's got a good slick surface on it. I mean, it's good. Any other discussion? Okay. Item number 7 is in August of each year, we appoint a committee, nominate officers for the slate for 2019 proposal. Does somebody want to move forward with that? Someone want to volunteer to be on that committee? Yes?
Yeah, did it last year, I did it again.
And Benson, Will, and I did it last year.
Sounds like a great.
We've already talked, we're all agreeable to doing it again this year. But
That's good.
That way we don't have to advertise, just because I.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the process is you'll come back in the September meeting with the officers slate.
Okay.
So we need 3 officers. We need a vice chairman and we need a secretary treasurer. Okay. All right. Number 8, discussion of a flight training facility at the airport. That was tabled. I think I sent y'all out some information on that last week, but the guy, Donnie Gabriel, has withdrawn his, not application, but he basically says they're not ready to go forward right now. He would revisit it after Christmas. So, that's kind of anybody out, but it rang true to me that it was something we ought to look at. I mean, if we get a good applicant or whatever, looks to me like it was something to be a valuable addition to the airport. Okay. Chip, you want to talk about the flight feeder system?
I think we might have mentioned it before, but David and Joe and I met, and we looked at one, and David actually got a demo, and on Dave's computer got a demo of what he gave us. It was a free installation, but then we started looking at what they charged for the different reports. It was going to be astronomical. I looked at the one that had the Gulf Shores, and they're real happy with it. I've got a little brochure on it. I don't know if anyone wants to go down there, we can probably get a demo. The thing about this is it's about a $3,000-something one-time fee, but all the reports that you get are free.
Why don't you tell everybody kind of what it does? What's
I mean, it monitors airplanes that are coming in, they're on the ADS-B system, it tracks them. So, I mean, like David can track and see the traffic they've got coming in, the traffic that's coming in. We can look at airport operations at night, so if people have a noise complaint, we can see if it was, something that operate out of our airplane or not. Now, some of the airplanes that aren't in this ADS-B system would not necessarily be picked up, but in 2020, probably 90% of the airplanes in the country are going to have. And they're just different. We kind of looked at some of the reports on that other one, and there, several reports that Continental could use and several reports that we could use. You kind of track who's coming. One thing we've never had is a real good estimate on airport operations as far as number of flights. And it's always been an estimate. We can get a whole lot more accurate record of that.
Would it capture touch and goes?
You got any ideas?
I mean, I don't know, I say it, but I need to go look, but I would assume it tracks touch and goes, because if it's tracking the transponder in the airplane, to take back off again, they're gonna see it.
You're gonna hit the altitude, whatever the target is, and they're gonna touch it there.
Yeah, so,
What was the other system called?
the one that we looked at, remember?
Was that AirNet?
No,
No, it wasn't internet, it was.
it was some company up in the northeast, and, yeah, the guy reached out to us, and then we reached out back to
We
him,
called
and then he
back.
never called us back, finally. So they did a demo, which, you know, which Dave and I could watch on the screen to show the tracking it is, like pretty similar to this. I mean, you know, we were talking about like traffic reports being like $2,400 a year for one type of report. So, I mean, you could easily be spending $10,000, $15,000 a year depending on what information you want. Where
Like the system we have, the jacket?
But y'all have the, adware, not adware, but,
Flightware.
Yeah,
So it wasn't like,
it wasn't Flightware, it was some independent standalone company. They did, it seemed like most of their customer base was along the large airports.
Yeah, it was mainly for commercial.
the flightware is,
And your FlightAware, but they give you reports, or is it just a track?
it's just track,
Yeah.
little report.
This you specify different reports you want, and it captures that data and spits out your report. And I know at Gulf Shores, you know, they bought the whole setup, and then not too long ago, they said they came in and gave them a whole new laptop to go with it, and everything was all, you know, the fee was at one time, and everything.
If they don't get reports.
Yeah, the one at Gulf Shores, they do get.
Sounds like they're down enough to be worthwhile.
And, you know, Continental's interested in it too, so we might be able to
I'll
partner.
split it. I'll do half of it. We'll just, so,
That's good.
Okay.
Do I hear 60%?
Okay.
there are things we can work.
Well, I think it'd be valuable for everybody.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good information.
Anyone wants to go look at it?
It's gonna be a lot more valuable in 2020 than it is right now, so it's really,
Which about too far?
it's not far away.
But I can, if anyone wants to go down there, meet you down there, we can go down there and look at it and watch it in action.
I looked, I mean, I don't think, I looked at her, Marissa, she understands it, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just proud of the reports. All right, moving on, okay, so that's something we'll try to do in the, 2020 or 2019. Okay, discussion of the West Side Commercial Park, Don?
Yes, I reached out to David Milstead, who's going to do a presentation in a minute about the 120-something acres we have on the west side and what the highest and best use would be for that land. And we've got a lot of opinions, but I think we need some professionalism here, and that's why I reached out to David Milstead. So, David, please.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Just about met everybody. My goal today, without sitting with you guys individually before this meeting, is just trying to get everybody's feedback. You know, everybody's going to have an opinion on how they want to fix this. So you really don't need me coming in from the outside giving my opinion, at least before I get y'all's view and all that. So I'm with Beltor Commercial, which is the commercial division of Beltor Real Estate. Let me give you a quick rundown just on Beltor, and then so you'll know exactly who we are and who I am, and then we can talk about the property. So our vision is to be the most agent-focused real estate company, you know, recognized in the market through relentless commitment to our values and elevated standards of excellence. We are, our company profile, we're real big on our core values, which are faith, effort, and gratitude. And we're a full-service real estate company. We have a ton of residential agents. We're about 175 agents across the board, about 5 or 6 commercial, and then the rest are residential. We have 8 offices in Mobile and Baldwin County. We're the fastest-growing real estate company in Mobile and Baldwin County. We started in 2008. You can see how many agents we have. Last year, we did over $550 million in volume. And you may have heard of Nathan Cox. He's the one who started our company. He has since formed 68 Ventures. 68 Ventures owns Bellator, they own Truland Homes, and quite a few other entities also. And he really made his name around here. In 2012, he formed the Gulf Opportunity Fund. They put together about $63 million in 3 months and went out and bought every piece of foreclosed land that there is, basically in Baldwin County. Like I said, we have 8 offices throughout Mobile, Eastern Shore. We're pretty heavy at the beach also, as you can see. Right now we have 2 offices in Fairhope. Our commercial entity, we have just core disciplines: land, office, industrial, retail, and then also hospitality and multifamily. And I've had the pleasure of doing all these. I've been in business over 32 years. I was in Atlanta for 15 years, working with Insignia, ESG, Grubb & Ellis, national companies. And then had a son and moved back to the coast, which I grew up in Mobile. I've been top producer at Bellator for the last 4 years, and then before that I had Milstead & Associates, and before that I was with Cunningham & Fuller. So I've got an engineering degree from Auburn, so hopefully if these industrial guys that I'm going to be talking to, trying to build their companies, I'll know how to speak their language. This is just a little client list, and you're really not going to be able to see the whole thing based on the way we're doing the viewing, and I really don't want to click on something on this computer. Some of the important ones have been Westco Aircraft. Those guys leased 15,000 square feet. It's a referral from a Dallas agent to a Birmingham agent to me, which is kind of interesting how it came down. They had to be close to UTC, but that's something that you guys certainly could have had a shot at. Pierce Aluminum is the #1 aluminum producer for Austell, as well as just quite a few industrial deals in here, as well as others. So I used to handle a lot of corporate services for different folks. I did National Semiconductor. I used to work with 20th Century Fox, MGM. We handled AirTouch Cellular across the country, which became Verizon. Handled Kaiser Permanente across the Southeast. United Healthcare Corporation across the Southeast. Right now, I work with Unity Fiber. I'm in the middle, which is Southern Light. I'm in the middle of 7 transactions with them. We just closed Jacksonville office, Jacksonville Industrial Yard, which is the way they do it. They're looking for about 8,000 to 12,000 square feet of office warehouse, and then have a 3 to 5 acre yard. Right now, they're looking at Foley, and can certainly try to direct them, over here also. So, this is kind of our affiliations, and I am going through this really fast because if you don't know who CoStar LoopNet is, but once we do list a property, this is kind of how we put it out there, and everybody across the country, as well as other real estate people, will view these. And then talk about the property. So on the west side, as you guys know, you have approximately 110 acres. I guess you said y'all sold 5 or 10 recently, or 10 acres 5 years ago, right? So if you look at that, it's pretty easy to pick out the strengths, and so you have the aviation relationships, you have the aviation academy. So one of the biggest things for industrial users, and when I'm talking about industrial users, somebody's going to come and they're going to build industrial, whether that's office warehouse, which is called industrial, or just true industrial. And it's all zone light industrial. So the biggest issue, if you're doing office, it's where are you going to be in location? If you're doing industrial, your first 2 issues are taxes. Actually, first issue is labor, because they want to know if your labor is going to be the same as the other 5 locations they're looking, because they're not going to look in just one area. So in other words, an office may look at over by the airport, and then they may look downtown. Well, an industrial plant's not going to do that. They're going to look where you are. They're going to look at Foley. They're going to look at whatever labor pool they have there. They're going to look at Mobile. They're going to see where the labor pool costs them the least, and where it's either the most educated, which y'all have a step up there, or it's the most bountiful. And anywhere in Baldwin County, that's the #1 issue. You talk to any employer, the biggest problem they have is labor. And it doesn't matter. My retail guys, my office guys, industrial, that's their #1 thing. So y'all actually have a pretty big step up by being able to brag about that. And that kind of puts you well above, I think, Foley and some of these other locations. Proximity to Fairhope, Fairhope's a resort community. I'd say the people that didn't grow up here, you have so many transients here because they visited and they thought it was fantastic. And a lot of those are CEOs, CFOs, and they moved their companies here. So you can't understate the proximity to Fairhope. And then you do have the ability to sell your land versus lease it. A lot of your situations, if you look at Mobile, anywhere else, you get land under a city authority and you're only able to lease it. And that's a problem because people do like that in the land, no matter how small or large the corporation, especially the smaller ones. You do have the ability for tax incentives for the industrial board and the other ones that you know of, and that's good. And then also Airbus. So, the Airbus relationship obviously has put a magnifying glass in this area. It's helped Mississippi and Pensacola, and it's certainly going to help us. The weaknesses that I see from this, and this is from personal experience, I get calls all the time because I'll have Office Warehouse in Spanish Fort or Daphne or wherever, and so these people will call me on these listings, say, what are you looking for? It's not working. And this happened twice today. It's like, okay, I want to be by the interstate. And everybody wants to be over there. So that's your biggest issue. I'm probably out with 8 companies looking for space, and I mention Fairhope every time. And it's like, well, we really want to be closer to I-10. Now, a lot of times that's because they have Mobile employees and they're coming over, or they may hire from Mobile. And these are decision makers. A lot of them are from Fairhope, so they want to be as close to their house as they can, but they're centered on I-10. And I see that as the biggest issue with anything that y'all are trying to sell over there. Now, do people sell in Foley and South Lake County? Sure. Are they close to I-10? No. But they're not relying on that. They're relying on other sources. And they're not relying on the ability to go up and down the interstate. And when you have industrial users like that, it's pretty important, either deliveries and or shipping. You're competing with Mobile. Obviously, it's a bigger city, so they have the ability to dig deeper on incentives. And I've seen that in the past, and we'll continue to see it in the future. Labor pool, like I said, it's a complaint everywhere. It's certainly a complaint in Baldwin County. And then for your smaller users, topography. If Baldwin County is very, very flat, and some of that land has a grade, I was looking at the topography that you sent me on the sketch, and just one of those lots dropped a good 10 to 15 feet just in the span of it. So that costs money. So if I'm looking to build on 1 acre that's flat versus 1 acre that has a 10-foot grade, it's going to cost me more money on a 10-foot grade. And that's what people take into account, especially in smaller acreage. So racing through that. Can y'all just give me your input? I've talked at length with Don and Joe, and I think I've got a feel for what they're thinking. So I can start wherever y'all want to, but if you've got some ideas on what you think needs to happen or the number one problem, and I can formulate all that, and then sit down. I know Lee Lawson well. I'll sit down with him and see exactly. I know y'all have your opinions on him and his marketing efforts, but really see everything that's gone on in the past and see if I can actually help. And not one of those people that's going to sit here and say, hey, here's what I do. I'm great, and I can solve all your problems. Because that might not be the case. You want to start? Go ahead.
So we had a vision for that property at one time, and I don't see that we should be married to that vision of that property as far as how it was divided. I think that we need a fresh set of eyes on how the lots could be divided. But when we come up with a plan, I think it needs to be pretty well set. And the reason being is I don't want somebody to come in here and cherry pick the land and just take the center cut out and devalue the rest of the land. So I think it's important. It may not be absolutely necessary, but it's very important when if we go with the existing plat of that property.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not married to that plat. I think that it could take some tweaking, and I welcome input on that. So yeah, that's the existing plat. So if it's changed, whatever we come up with, I like it to be fairly set in stone. And I say fairly, sure. I think that nothing should always be 100% of anything, but it needs to be fairly set so that we don't get so excited and try to court some tenant that says, well, I want 10 acres, but I don't like any of those lots. I want this 10 acres, right? It's the flattest portion that's, the most valuable piece of all.
Sure.
That it actually doesn't exist on paper because we didn't want to cherry pick it, when you have to come up with a plan that works together, so.
Right.
Those are some of my thoughts, and other thoughts would be that, I want to attract businesses to the city that bring something to the city. To me, bringing companies to a city and bringing employees and people to a city that don't add anything is just doing nothing but overcrowding the city. I don't think that, politicians want to put feathers in their cap and say, look at what I did while I was in office, we did this, this, and this. If you're not adding value to the community, I don't think you've done anything. Personally.
So if you had give me an example of adding to the city.
Well,
Just
I
so-
want, and I don't have I don't have any particular thought on what type of company it would be. I just think they should be a respected company that wants to give to the community. And I don't know if you can, I don't know if you can legally interview somebody and say, we want you or we don't want you, or discriminate against companies. But if we're going to bring in some company that's going to be heavy industry or light industrial, but they say, we want it rezoned and we're going to bring in 500 employees and this is going to be something that pollutes the air, I don't want it.
Sure.
That's an extreme example.
But if you had a Balloons Inc. CEO that was contributing to the community with the profits they made from,
Yeah, the
Company,
only
that would
reason
be
you
it.
have industry in a community is for one thing, is you provide jobs, you provide opportunity for your youth,
sure.
and you provide taxes. You provide income to make the rest of the community better.
Okay.
It needs to have all those components.
The set plan, just from my experience, seeing a lot of developers, is the guys that sold their land the first had the most flexibility. So they had a plan like this, they had a certain idea, and they usually come up with a plan like this because of the topo, leaving, if you look at just the first 5 lots on the left side, leaving enough land for each of them. So they always want to have the flexibility to add 2 or 3 or 4. But I see your point. If somebody says, hey, I need these 10 acres, then we don't want to take out the middle of the road or anything like that. But you might be able to fit them somewhere. You'd have extreme market with this plan alone. You'd have extreme marketability with all the lots on 32.
And I'm not saying that that's not a good plan. I just want a set of eyes on it.
Sure. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Well, I agree, and that's Don and I talked about possibility of even getting some developers in here and saying, okay, is there a joint venture situation, or is there something where they can work with you guys on actually providing build-to-suits on the possibility for lease. So instead of just selling lots, you're actually going a lot further. There's a lot of people that are capitally challenged that have good ideas for businesses and want to get them going, or that have the credit, but they just need to get a track record going. So that would make sense. Plus, you can get a lot of input. I learned most of my things when I'm marketing land. I'll take it to developers first, and they'll say, "Well, this is great, but that cliff in the middle of the property is not going to help you market." So.
And David, I'm meeting with that developer that we talked about
Yeah.
next week.
Good.
No need to mention his name right now, but
Okay.
when the time is right, I will. It's the name that I mentioned to you.
Sure.
So that'll be Thursday or Friday.
Okay. Yeah, and I've got a couple other names we can throw in that hat. It's really a matter of incentives. The big deal is with marketing this property, can you get it to a situation where somebody like myself finds somebody with a need, and then that agent or broker says, look, you got to go down there. You got to go down to the airport property, because they're offering incentives that are just going to potentially beat everybody else. And if you can get in that conversation, other than just a lead law center or somebody you hired to do that, and you become prevalent in those conversations, then that land will start to move. So, other input?
One thing, did you say that Pierce Aluminum is the major supplier for Seeger?
Mm-hmm. No, major supplier for Austin.
For Austin, okay. Well, then I was. If we could find some synergies like that, find out, take a major employer like Seeger, and
Yeah, you could easily do that.
Yeah.
That's what I did with Austin. First
Sure.
time I heard they were here, I pulled up everybody's supply.
Yeah, find out who their vendors and suppliers are and reach out to those guys. Kind of an obvious thing to think about, but let's think about that.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of people don't connect the dots. And
Yeah.
that's what, it's right there in your backyard. So.
Right.
And usually somebody like Seager or Airbus will put pressure on them to come in.
Mhm.
You know, after a while, after a critical point. All right.
Good.
Okay. So no certain ideas on how to move forward on the land or anything you like or want to be wary of?
David, what kind of incentives you would put into incentives? What we want?
Well, you've got your typical, and I say typical, everybody else is going to have in the area. You've got the port incentives, so you got foreign trade zones, so free trade zones, and then Sears just got that money for from the industrial board. So those are going to be pretty similar. It's going to be hard to compete with somebody like Foley, who's got opportunity zones and really is looked at as a lower income from their standpoint, just like Bay Minette is, and be able to do something there. But if you guys own the land, then, and I know you're paying on that land, but you own the land, you ought to be able to come up with some type of incentives with either developers or users to where if they wanted to purchase it but not purchase it immediately, like a lease purchase or something like that, you certainly ought to be able to leverage that. Yeah, absolutely. And your industrial land, if you're out there at, if you're $2 a square foot, you're about 86,000 an acre. Just food for thought. The corner of 32 and 181 is an 8-acre development. It's retail. It's for sale right now for about $2.36. Highway 32 Business Park. If you go east on 32, that one little finger we were talking about, Don, one of those lots is on contract right now. That was about $2 a square foot. So about 86,000. So if somebody comes in on an acre, then you're playing proudly with anywhere from 70 to 100,000 in value. Well, if I'm going to go build a 5,000 square foot or a 10,000 square foot office warehouse at $40 a square foot, not counting the office, it's 400,000. All of a sudden, that 100,000 is a good quarter or 20% of my total value. You can get creative with that over time and do an extended note where they're not having to go after the whole 400. That makes a lot of sense. So you could be building over on this piece of land where I have no incentive and I have to go finance the full 400,000, or on yours I can finance 300,000, have it built, and then have an extended time and an extra 100, or tax incentives or something that goes towards it. That helps great. No different than retailers when they're coming in with these developments and they're set up as a TIF, so they're getting paid back quicker because of the retail sales. So, yes.
What would your relationship be with your boss? How you survive?
More like in the middle of the summer, late afternoon, like a gnat that flies around you. That would probably be how he would perceive it. Yeah, I mean, normally he hears from me anyway, but I haven't sat down and breakfast in quite a while. Lee was in Birmingham for years, and so we had a lot of the same friends there, all the real estate guys there that I went to college with. That being said, he is an elephant hunter, because that's been his background, and that's what he did well in Birmingham. That's what he did great in Montgomery. So I don't think it's the fact that he's not marketing y'all's land. I think it's easier for him to go after these gigantic guys, and when he does that, then he's got one of the top 5 sites in the country if you read all their stuff. So it's a lot easier for him to focus on that than it is over here. That being said, the land around the airport that y'all have, because of the points I already said, it would be gone if it was located somewhere else. It would be gone if you had a bigger, there's a lot of different synergies that help it from a marketing standpoint. So can you overcome those? You can certainly get a lot more conversations. I mean, I always tell people if they hire me, my job's not to sign the deal. My job is to put enough people in front of you where we're gonna get the deal done. So, other input, Amy, you had something?
I mean, I'm with Jack, we're still paying jobs at
Right. Yeah, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the whole aviation relationship. So, no, to answer you seriously on the lead law sense, it's really staying in front of it. Saying, you know, who have you seen, who have you seen? It's no different than when you and I worked on something in the past. You know, you call, like, yeah, I better have an answer. And I'm gonna have to, if I don't answer the phone, I have to call you back really quickly. And so it keeps it in the front and center. So when somebody's talking to you about the project, plus that is his job. And
Yeah, I mean, he works for a lot of different entities, and he works for a lot of municipalities and government, I mean, the county, so we're part of it.
yeah, I think so. And I think he enjoys his job. I think he does a really good job. He's always catered to us. I mean, we certainly contribute to the economic development group. And when he has real estate deals out there, he will call the people, you know, the companies that contribute to them. We're one of those companies he calls. Anybody else? So that being said, I would like to get some time and brainstorm, and I'm open to hearing from any of you guys more on trying to how to put together an incentive package, whether that's with the developer or otherwise. I certainly think you need to have some developer that y'all like, that you trust, where you can go, oh, you need to build suit? Yeah, we can do that. And then the guy's already there. And he has experience. And he can talk to you that time and have it. Because if you're out there just trying to sell land, that may take a while. If you can provide different avenues, such as selling land or building it and then providing a lease, it makes a lot of difference. And the more ways you can pivot, increasing the flexibility, quicker that's going to move that problem.
I was thinking a little minute ago about Jack Edwards. On the south side of the airport, there's an industrial park. Lots of offices, air conditioning companies, take your pick. And why don't we drive down there soon to take a peek at that? Are you familiar with
I
that?
can tell you whatever you want to know.
Well, there you go.
I've put a lot of people in there.
Well, that
It is restricted from an airport use, but it is turned into, there's no drive-by traffic. So,
Right.
which is a killer down there, because it's all, real estate's going on in the street.
Mhm.
That being said, we've got a lot of companies that backfill from management and everything else.
Is that a good model to think about?
It's not as heavy industrial as y'all would probably do.
Okay.
I personally think you can make millions of dollars in this county by building 10,000 square foot shell building, 2,500 square foot bays, potential for 500 to 1,000 square foot rooms. And they'll build the office to see the rights of the rooms and lease them. And those units on 32 right there should be no different than the buildings that are built in 64 about 5 years from now. Shouldn't be.
Okay.
Just because of the traffic that you have down 32 and will continue to go in. Much less all the neighborhoods that have a lot of money real close to them. And they want something that's visible, that's real close. So, but I'm down there all the time. I'll be glad to meet you for lunch and we go through there.
Sure. Okay.
And I think that's a great idea.
I've said that all along, about having a building about as you described, and I've even, we've kind of floated around this airport authority as to whether or not we should invest in that. Chance that.
Least.
Be that spark, be our own spark.
Well, I agree. I mean, if you guys got involved, you're already involved in the land and got involved in the other without sticking your head out too far. Makes all sense in the world. Yeah, it's called flex space. Don and I were talking about it. I was in Atlanta when they first came up with that. And it's really industrial guys that were gonna build single-story industrial. They had no idea they were gonna do any office space. And they saw some users come up and say, I know you have 5,000 square foot days, we need 5,000 square foot of office. And these guys are like, I guess I can build that. Well, they did at the time. Office space was $15 to $20. They priced it. And I thought, we can do it. It's gonna be. They're used to leasing $3 space. Like it's gonna be $10. These office guys were like, no problem. And all of a sudden it took off, and everybody started doing it on a regular basis. And once again, there's your flexibility. So, office warehouse guy comes over and needs 5,000 feet and needs 10,000. Great, you convert that whole building to 10,000. But if not, you go to 2,500 square feet of those. And a heck of a lot of money users at 2,500 square feet in the other ones. And if you have flexibility to do it, either 100% office or 500 square feet of office and 2,000 square feet of warehouse, and you have the garden back where somebody can get some trucks. You cater to a lot of uses.
And I think you could go up, you could do 5,000 office, 10,000 a day, 15,000 a day. I think they would do it.
Right. Mine's less risky. But you're right. I mean, you come in and you go towards Weeks Bay right before you go to the bridge, all that stuff on the left, and that's exactly what we're talking about. And so what they did, they had the warehouse doors, and so when they had the office users, instead of using the roll-up door in the back, they just put glass in. So then they didn't have the issue of usually you're in an office like that, and you don't have a lot of windows. So full plated glass in the back wall as well as the front just provide plenty of natural light. Those are good ideas. Anything else?
No, I think, why don't we, we're not going to make a decision, why don't we revisit it among ourselves over the next month, and then invite you back and,
Yeah, I'm not even proposing anything at this
Okay,
point.
September.
I'm just trying to get ideas, and then maybe I'll come back and say, okay, here's some ideas y'all might want to think about, and give you something you can really move forward with.
I mean, I think the essence of it is we need to move forward. That's what we just need to do that. We need to find something and make it, take it down the road and find something we can do that.
Right. Sure.
It's an outlet cost.
Well, an albatross is it's really a good location. From the standpoint of you're talking to anybody from Fairhope, or it's a short drive just from that. So, okay. Well, I appreciate y'all letting me come in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
They own, you look at, you're standing at Seegers and look at facing south, they own like 30 acres to the left, to the east, that actually has connectivity to the runway. That's where they're gonna put that plant out there, exactly that where they're gonna put
I
that.
didn't see the parcel. Exactly.
But that's actually an advantage site that they own, and they're gonna try to sell it, they ask for one-way access to the board.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Does that ownership cross down north of it?
I don't think so. I mean, back towards the south, that's. Now, we have a sliver of land that connects with that west parcel back to the county.
Yeah, David did a great job, reminded me of a country song, forgot to mention Mama getting drunk on the train. He didn't mention that Nathan played football at Alabama, and his father Alan played football at Alabama, but he did mention Auburn.
He didn't mention he was a veteran. Got out of plane, broke his leg.
Right. Talking about Nathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got injured in Desert Storm. That's just the rest of the story.
All right, well, it gives us a little final food for thought. Possible, next item is possible future events at the airport. We mentioned this stuff, but, the easy one is Pam has gotten us back on the list to host the Airways Classic in sometime out in 2023, sometime. Not gonna happen today, tomorrow, but we're back on the list to be the terminals for the airways classic. It was a pretty nice event for us about 4 or 5 years ago, so.
You say are we officially back on the
Well,
list?
we've applied.
Okay.
We're not officially, they told us they liked it, they would come back. This has been 5 years, and we think we should, so no, we're not officially back on it. We applied, and we've been kind of a positive. The actual festival flight, I think we talked about this a little bit, last meeting. You know, we, 2007, 8, and 9, we had a festival flight here where we attracted maybe 10 to 15,000 people in the airport. We had basically static military operations and fly high. So if I would like to propose that we go forward and try to do that again. I've actively tried to partner with Eastern Shore Chamber. Casey Williams is talking with her board on Friday or next week about being our coach monitor. So, I thought sort of we probably don't have the ability to do it ourselves, but get a good partner in the chamber and their volunteers and their staff, and we can do a good job. Chip and I met with King. He wasn't here. He would be instrumental enough to get the military back involved. But I think it's something we worthwhile doing if the pieces fall in place. Don't want to. We've got a lot of things going on the airport. I think a lot of positive things. I think we just need to make sure that we can have those stuff. That makes sense.
What was the cost of
I have a budget. I'll share that with you. I promised Casey I'll give her one before Friday. Yeah. The all-in cost was around $75,000 with about $15,000 to $20,000 in income expenses, and we had potential contributions around $85,000. We've got I've got the expenses pretty nailed down. So this biggest expense item is hotel rooms for the people that fly in. I mean, it's something that we couldn't write a check for. We'd be a contributor to it, not maybe $50,000. But we successfully raised a lot of money, 10 years ago to do this. But we can do it again. But I'll give you something. I've got a preliminary budget that I'm going to share with Casey. I shared with you the budget we had put out today, and I'll share but I'm looking at using those numbers. I've revisited that. So think about it. That, Casey comes back and says we're all in. We want to do this. We're going to next month or maybe in October, basically say whether we want to do it and be a sponsor of this. Okay. Any thoughts?
What organization exists that makes
Special flight with us.
well, we own it.
We own it.
It's not fanatic.
No.
This guy King we met with, he's retired Marine helicopter pilot. And he was the one that got all the military airplanes here, pilots and everything. I guess he has the contacts and he was able to do that. Of course, that's 10 years ago.
Why it fell apart before is
Sequestration.
it's a new job.
That word, that's what you're looking for.
That's the word. When the military quit allowing, military funds to come in, the number of federal flight.
Well, actually, it went away and then we tried to revive it in about
2012
or 2013. We were all set. The city committed, I want to say about $50,000 maybe.
I saw a resolution after that.
And we had a committee ready to go, and the military just shut down the support of all of these, and without that, it wasn't really much of a show. So we kind of pulled the plug on it. Now, we weren't that far down the road, but it was in motion though.
It's a combination of static and flight. We get some warbirds. The advantage we have this time is that we have, Zach McNeil could do his thing in conjunction with it, and that would significantly reduce the cost. he could have his presidential flag.
Big, yeah, that'd be a big draw.
Yeah, that'd be a big draw.
Until like October days.
May is.
To send them
not
something
far
like
away.
15,000.
Was that done in May last time?
King was pretty adamant that it was done as close to Memorial Day as possible, because it has a military.
Got everybody getting out of school, graduation, start vacation.
I don't know, that's one of the things we'd have to do. What I'd like to do is, Jim, have a kind of conversation with you, and we don't want to interfere with, there are other festivals like this in the area, Pensacola, Evergreen, places like that, we don't want to have it at the same time.
Most of all theirs is in the fall. I mean, Pensacola, their big air shows in November, Evergreen's in October. So, and actually probably in May, you're gonna probably do better weather-wise than you would in the fall with hurricanes and stuff like that.
Amy, to your point, again, I'm just looking at the static minutes. I was on the periphery when we did it before. I mean, the first planning meeting really wasn't held in February. Of 2000, the 6 months before. Now, they had some people that knew kind of what they were doing. So,
I don't think, back then, I don't think it's advertised nearly as much as you could with social media now and through all the general aviation organizations. I never saw anything in AOPA or EAA back
We
then
tried to
10
keep it
years ago,
secret.
but it did get done. But I think there are a lot more avenues that we could, get a lot more publicity and get a lot more draw. I mean, little airplane people are dying to find a place to go for a weekend and do something that's just aviation activity.
Joe, did the airport authority, prior to my time on the authority, did they have a co-sponsor the last time? And it's been, 12 or 15 years since we had this. It's only been 9, okay, so 9 years ago, did you have a co-sponsor like the Chamber? Because the Chamber would be a very strong partner.
But we did not. I mean, last week, there was a core group of the authority, with King, and then with, I don't think Rod Hunt was on the authority at that time, but Rod Hunt, King, and Chuck pretty much did it. And then, I think Rick King was a little bit involved, but they pretty much put it together.
But in about 3 years in a row?
Yeah, it was. And that would be something I would want is if we did it, and I asked Amy, I asked Casey, if we did it, I want a 3-year commitment. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't start and stop again. If it's gonna work.
I know, because I know we had it in,
Yeah, we had 3 years.
I know we had it in.
We did 3 years. We started at Colton.
Yeah, Colton started. And Colton would, those guys would come out, they would be excited about putting the band back together. They genuinely enjoyed, getting the military portion of it. We got a C-130 in here. That was a pretty good deal. So anyway, be thinking about it. Just email me your thoughts, positive or negative. I'll know better Friday. Casey wants to take it on with us. It'll be a full partnership.
How do we have land to C-130 if we say that the runway is not capable?
Very careful.
It was very empty. But it was a great static.
And have air out of the tires and come very careful.
All right, any more comments? We were like Continental, we know Continental would be a partner in this too. Y'all would certainly get benefit from the fuel staffs.
Yeah, I'd like to get some information about that.
I've got all that. All right, number 12, Continental Aerospace Technologies Report. David?
Introduction of Matt Owen. Matt. So Matt's the Director of Operations for Continental Services, which includes this facility and the one in Miami, the United Turbines. Matt?
Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Been a part of this company for the last 2 months, really charged with growing the services organization both here in Fairhope and then in Miami. Working with more next year than we've done this year. Came from Pratt Williams, not the record there, ran the Blake's business that they had, about a 100-person shop. It's been Pratt for 14 years and prior to that. Excited to be here. Fairhope, we're going to put an offer in the house in the next couple of days. So we'll be Fairhope residents.
Okay, B, T hangers are finished on the weather stripping.
Wow, I'll take that off. That was
I'm
awesome.
so tired of looking at that line. No, it's like, am I looking at this month's agenda or did I pick up last month's?
Thank you, David, for that.
The additional landscaping, no further discussion has been done. We kind of tabled that last meeting because we didn't know if we could dig or not because of the fiber optics. Yeah. And we did some pressure washing on the building.
Yeah, and then I didn't put on I'm really more concerned about the pothole. Any movement on the pothole in front of the parking lot?
Well, I talked to him today. They were supposed to come by and give me a bid. I was assuming it was today, but it didn't happen. So I contacted.
Guys that our
Right. And so he said he's got a local company here, American Paving or something. It's not out of Mobile. It's a facility Mobile uses in this area that Mobile Asphalt uses. And he's supposed to send a guy by.
Well, look, I mean,
Yeah, he's right around the corner from you.
Yeah.
American Asphalt.
Yeah, American Asphalt. So it's a gentleman named Michael.
so anyway, that,
You can put it on there on B. Take off the just put it
Do
in
it
B.
up to B. Lake macaroni.
Okay, skylights are done and the southernmost hangar.
and they're hanging around $2,600.
Yeah, it was a little less than the first time, but they,
So we're through with the skylights, is that why, I mean, everything, nothing leaks, you know that, or?
in that building, nothing leaks.
How about the avionics?
That is the avionics hangar.
Okay.
The avionics hangar is complete.
Got it.
So we, the other hangar, we've got two skylights that are leaking pretty bad. We just don't park any aircraft under it. We got bids on all of them, but it was a little high end because it was 47 skylights or something. Remember when they sent you the bid?
We might, okay. How about the abandoned aircraft?
I'm in contact with 3 of the 4. One I can't get in contact with. One of them's on his way out. 2 of them are paying customers. One is truly abandoned. I can't get a hold of it. The other one, the Piper, I'm trying to get my hands on. That's Robert
Piper's
Tello's.
at the far end?
Do what?
Piper's at the far end?
It's
That's a bonanza.
yeah.
That's
The VTEL Bonanza
moving
belongs to
around.
yeah. The VTEL Bonanza has been there since 2011 July. The other one is a 828. It's a Piper. I don't know if it's a Cherokee or yeah.
So somebody's paying you to tie it down still?
On 2 of the 4. One of them was truly abandoned, and the other one was a previous deal with previous management that the guy was kicked out of a T hangar and was allowed to park his airplane there.
Does he pay?
Do what?
Does he pay for it? Does he pay for a tie down?
No, he's been sent a letter, so he's either got to pay or move the aircraft.
So they're certainly not sure.
Yeah.
Which one is truly abandoned?
Do what?
Which one did you refer to as truly abandoned?
The VTEL Bonanza.
The one that happened?
Yeah, it's got, yeah.
Josh,
So
is
it's
there a
been there
mechanism to seize?
I don't know if the authority has, the airport authority has legal ability to do it. My question would be whether Continental, as a servicer of the aircraft, would have some sort of mechanics lien.
Don't know.
Or
I know-
storage lien for storage.
I know the company that
That's what
owns
we
it.
already have.
The company that owns it and the person that, right now, he owes me $1,170.
Okay. I mean,
So,
it
yeah.
would seem to me that Continental would have some type of lien on the aircraft for those fees. And there would be some mechanism for Continental to foreclose that lien and just assume custody and control of the aircraft. And if he said it's an
You don't want it.
Well,
How do you think the school wants it?
Well, yeah, they do.
No,
actually.
because
You do it to those go.
it was,
just for
for some level of transparency, I don't know that that's something that would ever to say.
It's got ballast weights in it.
We're not in the business of counting aircraft.
And I'm not sure the authority has the ability to do it either,
So
so.
we have to look into a third option.
Yeah, but if they're leasing that space from you, if it, if it's on a portion you collect leases from, then you have to have something enforceable, and if you don't, handling the bill is one thing.
Yeah.
But then, if they don't pay you, it's not up to the airport authority to enforce them paying.
No, I mean, if they had the airport authority money, it would be one thing, but they don't.
Right.
And what does this mean? So we go next month?
I'm working on it, Joe. I'm working on it.
Put it down there in that low spot.
I heard it floods down there.
It does look good. All right, so how about October? Can we set a realistic deadline by October to have some type of movement on it?
Yeah, either legal or otherwise.
Okay.
I'm hoping the other three are going to be physically moved.
All right, and then finally, why don't you give a little overview of your flying?
Well, it's a poker run. The 99s are sponsoring it. One of the regions, they've got, we've got flyers and registration forms in the FBO, and they've emailed out. They're expecting 9 to 15 aircraft to participate. There's 4 or 5 airports involved. They're allowing flying, driving, and walking. Yeah, so it's any mode of transportation that you can get to the FBO to pick up the envelope. But they have to register, donate the money, and it all goes to a college fund or something. So it's they have not got back with me since we got the flyer and all the stuff printed out.
It's gonna end up at lunch in Salt Lake. That's where everybody's gonna end
Yep.
David,
up.
anything
And I
else?
learned that by looking at Facebook. I forgot to inform
Well,
you.
I saw the flyer. I saw the flyer.
You want me to forward you the flyer, Vince?
It's on Facebook.
Okay. That's pretty bad when you're participating, right?
Oh,
No, I
shared
don't.
it because I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
David, anything else?
No, nothing else.
Pat, you got anything? Josh?
Okay, update on IRS audit improvement bond series 2007. I told everyone last time that we submitted a package to the IRS office in Lafayette, Louisiana. They received that. I have gotten no further updates regarding the status of the audit except for a phone call from an IRS representative based out of Tacoma, Washington, whose only purpose for the call was to inform me that the audit package was being transferred from the Lafayette office to an office in North Carolina. So for internal reasons, they were switching auditors. It didn't have anything to do with the audit itself. It was more on the personal side of that particular auditor. So that was the only purpose of her call. I was able to get out of her, I think, that the audit was random. There was nothing particular about that bond issue that was causing them to raise an eyebrow. She did believe it was just a random audit. She couldn't give me any timetable. She was not going to be the one handling anything. She was just talking about that it was being transferred from one office to the other. So, but I do feel like I was able to get out of it. It was a random audit. That there's not anything in particular they're looking at. She also did seem to think that this was going to stop with the Series 2007. In other words, they were not going to continue on to do 2010 or 2017. Her opinion was that it was only the 2007 bond issue that they were looking at. So that's the only update I have, and I'm waiting to hear anything further. I assume it will be from the auditor in the North Carolina office, but haven't heard anything from that person as of yet. We're just on standby as far as that's concerned. Part B, update on negotiations with tenants for ground leases for the east side. On the east side, we have negotiated with Kell Jones and Executive Aviation. I believe we have finalized the lease, and I think that is ready to be executed. So that
He signed it, I need to sign it, we need to get it to the top.
Yes.
That's the process.
He signed it ahead of this meeting. I would prefer to wait until we had this meeting to approve that. But he signed it, the authority has not signed it. But having said that, it is fully negotiated, and I believe, in my opinion, it's ready to be signed. We are also in negotiations with Mr. Duncan Gillis for the P12, hangar pad. Right now, those lease negotiations are ongoing. We have provided them a copy of the lease. They have provided their red line version, if you will, and now we're in the process of looking at their comments and going back to Mr. Gillis' attorney with further comments of our own. But that is not ready to be executed. That is still under negotiation.
But it is going forward, though, so I feel good about it.
He's moving forward diligently, I will say that. But it is just not in a posture where we're ready to have an executable version of the lease.
And we,
Are those leases, have they been approved by the authority, or do they require that we authorize you and the chairman to negotiate those leases on their behalf and execute them?
I don't believe that. The negotiation, I think, is authorized. I don't think the actual execution has been authorized. So,
Is that for the east and the west side?
that's for all, correct. That's for all. Now, you know, again, I'm circling back, but I do think that the lease with Executive Aviation is ready to be executed. So I would submit
We
that.
need a resolution then, I mean,
Either a resolution or a motion to authorize the chairman to sign. Yes, that's correct. Mr. Gillis, again, negotiations are ongoing. I'm not making any recommendation as far as that's concerned. That's still in the negotiating process.
Jack, will you make a recommendation that we give the chairman to execute the lease?
I would, I mean, I will be honest, I'd like to see the terms of the lease. I mean, if it was negotiated, are we not to see what the terms of the lease are before we recommend approval of it?
Should.
I mean, I'm sure it's not, but I'm a little uneasy without seeing what the terms are.
Well, I don't think Kel's had any, did we give anything away?
We're not giving anything
I
away.
mean, I know, but I mean, there was really no real movement from the
Big
basic lease.
changes to lease.
No, there were not any significant changes from, and I'll say this, I have taken the lease that David Bagwell drafted for the two existing tenants on the west side. I have used that.
And the fixed price for the ground lease, right?
Fixed price for the ground lease, 26, everything that is in or was in the notice of availability has been carried over into all of these leases. So those terms will not change. The 27 cents a square foot, performance bonds, I mean, everything that is in the notice of availability has been carried over to the ground lease that has been drafted and negotiated.
Is he wanting to be a part of the fuel farm or not? You know?
He is. Executive Aviation is wanting to be a part of the fuel farm. So that, and the way that is structured in the lease is, it is still contingent on the actual construction of the infrastructure of the fuel farm, which, you know, we've had discussions about that, I understand.
So that would be one of only two that would be allowed.
Correct.
So the only real variable is the land areas.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
We've had
Yeah.
the survey.
But he's requested that he get some additional space off to the west side that everybody here needs to be aware of. Where he wants to put it out to the ramp, which is a little different than what we originally discussed. He wants his big door facing west. So he wants his building sitting right at the ramp, and he wants, which I don't know if we can legally lease him part of that ramp. That was part of the conversation.
Well, the lease as drafted and the survey that's been prepared by Goodwin doesn't address that. I mean, he is leasing hangar pad P10 per the approved east side drawing that Goldberg prepared.
And in that lease, are we giving him permission to go west?
The
onto
lease,
the ramp?
the lease doesn't address any construction issues other than to say his plans have to be approved by the authority executive. That's the way it is phrased in the lease. But the lease itself is just a ground lease. We are leasing him that space at 27 cents a square foot with plans to be submitted and approved by the authority. But, you know,
I
again,
don't
there's
think I
not
can
any
lease in the FAA. I don't think you can lease in the
I don't think
FAA.
we can give him exclusive use of it either, which I think is what he asked at one time, and I think that's what he did. Which brings up the point why Jack says, hey, we need to all put our eyes on it.
But we'll send you the lease, that's it. Sure.
Is he gonna be upset if he signs the documents and it takes him till the next meeting, or do we need to call a special meeting for that? Is he okay with that?
I don't know if you know.
He's, I mean, maybe watching.
I didn't expect to receive a
I
sign.
didn't either.
So my expectation was that the board would approve it, and then we go to an execution with the Joe signing back. He just emailed the sign. I don't say out of the blue. I mean, I did
We can
email
bug
him.
him, but yeah. we did
I
say-
emailed him what I was presenting as the final version. He just turned around and signed it.
And he's not asking anything wrong, what I'm saying.
No, I get it. No,
He
I'm-
wants that west side to go right up to the property line, which is fine. But we can't grant him any exclusive use to open the door and leave the plane sitting here, and we can't release him into the ramp. And that's, we passed around an email.
Sure. And the ramp, to my knowledge, is not encompassed in what we have presented as the lease premises.
And he is still gonna have a pin, there's no way to get around that, problem. He's still gonna be closer to that.
If he's back within 30 feet of the lease line.
He's 26, and so he can worry about it. All right, well, I'll, go on, Dave.
I'll email the lease premises.
Another way. And it does have the survey, it does have the legal description of the property.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'll receive a lease and a plat
Yeah.
that shows what the lease premises are.
But that doesn't infer a site plan.
Not for construction, no. No, no, we do not. The lease only speaks to what area he is leasing from you for.
Let me digress a little bit here. This is one of Mr. Gillis's questions. I mean, you know, there's a two-part site approval process, one from Airport Authority, and obviously the larger from Eric Martinez. I mean, when we review this, I'm gonna just review the hangar as a footprint, make sure from an aviation standpoint, it doesn't impinge upon anything we're doing. But I mean, we're not gonna actually go in and look at construction. I mean, we're not gonna do any of that, is that? I mean, it says we have the
ability to
do that.
Now, whether you do, I mean, I agree that the building department is ultimately the approving authority for construction.
I mean, we're not gonna get into construction. I mean, that's gonna be we're gonna have our own code. We're gonna let the Fairhope Building Department.
That's a big question, though. If he wants that hangar door on the west side, and we felt it was gonna be on the north side,
So it's gotta be on
And
the
then the
south
south
side.
side, but he,
or was he on that end?
the layout of the building, he's in that corner,
Okay.
where the former FBO location is.
I got
He's
you.
in that corner. And the
Okay.
layout of his
So
building.
we're envisioning on the south side, so what I don't want to do is get in a dispute with him that he thought that he could put that door on the west side, he signed a ground lease, and then we approve it, and then he's now leasing that ground, but can't do what he wants.
Here's my only question there, when he opens his door, he's over the ramp, because he's not setting it back.
Well, it's like you said too, if he's, if he's staging his aircraft there on that ramp, he's kind of impeding the use of it.
And he ought to be able to put his airplane out there and do what he needs to do when he needs to do it, but if your door goes, you're actually on the ramp.
I got you.
I don't know how the FAA, they might not care.
No, but the lease itself doesn't speak to a particular set of construction plans. The lease is for the ground and then specifies that construction plans subsequently are approved by the authority and the Fairhope Building Department.
Has to be up to the standard and code.
City of
Yeah,
Fairhope.
make sure that gets done. My review would just, or our review would just be to cover and make sure we understand, what he's doing, the aviation aspect.
And I understand why he wants to put it out there, you don't have to pay it.
Sounds like that.
That makes sense, but you
And it's a big-
you chose the corner lot.
And it's a 140 by 120 foot, I mean, it's a big hangar. It's a big hangar. He would, I mean, if he didn't do that, he would have to rent two plows.
Or you have to move it back.
Move it back or something. It's a big.
That 27 feet, you have to just build the property line. Build firewall.
Okay.
But I think that goes along with saying everybody needs to put their eyes on it, just so one day we don't say, oh, I didn't know that was out there.
Can we do
Might be
this?
fine.
Can we send it out I'll poll everybody, and then we'll have maybe if we need to have a special meeting, Kel, that, whatever, special meeting.
I don't want you to poll it.
You can't poll it.
Not
I
poll
don't want you
everybody.
to do that. I'm fine with the special meeting and sending the lease out, but we can't poll it.
So you want to read out it? I just, if Kel wants to move forward, which I don't think he does, I think he said in October was his time for him to start. Okay? So I'll get a sense of what his sense for this. And if we need to have a special meeting, we'll have a special meeting.
Certainly, yeah, certainly, we'll call it a special meeting, call by the chairman and that's fine. And y'all can respond to me with questions about the lease. By all
And
means.
and in truth, if it went to that, Josh could poll somebody, but you can't do it.
Yes.
Because that's all it's seen as a debate, and you
Correct.
reach out to a majority of the council.
Correct. So I'll send the lease to everybody, but we don't want to hit reply to all, that sort of thing. But anybody can reply to me and ask me any question about that. On the west side, we are very close to having a final version of the lease with Mr. Goldberg. We have, I think, ironed out, and this, the main difference on the west side is there will not be any fuel farm, obviously. So a large portion of the original lease that dealt with the fuel farm just doesn't apply. So it's been removed. So it ends up being a little bit shorter of a lease because we are not having to deal with any of the fuel farm issues that we did with Allen's lease and Ray's lease. But we are waiting on finalizing the actual dimensions of the payment cap. So that's where we stand with that.
It'll be in the final survey.
The final survey, final dimensions, I mean, the exact square footage and the footprint of when this is going to be leased.
So there were no changes, significant changes to that lease either.
Then you
Yeah,
can send
there
us
were
out
other-
too. You can send that one out too. We can get it.
Absolutely.
We'll send it out without the survey. I mean, I'll get, see if I get the survey. We'll get that out there. Okay.
So that's where we stand at. We are close to, I believe, having a final version on that.
We're not close. I have not heard from Jacob.
I just put quote potential interest in my notes. I mean, I don't have anything. I haven't even heard from him directly. I don't think.
I called him Friday. He had no time. I called him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That would go back. That would be on the east side, but I'm not even sure that I've sent them a draft list.
Oh, you have?
Have I?
Yeah,
Okay.
you said Harley.
They haven't gotten any kind of.
Those maybe commented, is this going to be published or we going to publish?
Yeah, they sent me an inquiry about whether the lease would be made public, and I replied, yes, it would, for the public areas, so it needs to be made public, we would have to release it. But that was the only inquiry that I got from them. I mean, I haven't gotten any kind of a marked up lease or anything that there's any kind of serious interest to negotiate a lease. So that's it for the status of where we stand on the leases. Lisa Hanks emailed an ethics opinion that was requested by the Birmingham Airport Authority, and it certainly applies to us as an airport authority. I think the main points to take away from the ethics opinion is that the authority members are subject to the Ethics Act. The authority board members potentially could be required to file a statement of economic interest, but that does not apply to any board member except Jack, because he's also on the city council, which is the only reason he would potentially be required to follow him. But not solely because he's on the authority board. The only appointed officials that are required to file that statement of economic interest are the ones who are compensated with over $75,000 of public funds. That doesn't apply to anybody.
Well, I'm just a seven.
Yeah, yeah. Joe's the only one who has to file that.
How about you?
We're just under the threshold.
Yeah.
If the authority did have an employee, that person would be considered a public employee under this opinion. And the last point from the opinion to take away is that the Ethics Act applies to marketing activities for airport authorities, and they made the point of saying that authority board members cannot use their official position to benefit themselves, families, or businesses, which is just, that's only an application of the Ethics Act.
So do we need to make everybody aware of, like, are they, if they're subject to that, gifts from people?
The same gifting rules would
Said
apply.
$25
That's correct.
per gift, $50 per year. So if somebody's trying to do business with the airport authority, and they offer to take you to lunch, just make sure they don't exceed $25, and they don't go more than $50. Pardon?
David, that was just here.
Correct, that would be correct. Now, if you have an old friend that you've been friends with for, a long time, and you can prove that that was established, you can, you're going on vacation with a friend, they happen to be talking to the airport about a lease, yeah, you're gonna be written up in some report, but that's not illegal. It's not.
You're replacing planes, I mean, like, companies do that, just
No,
tell someone.
no, you don't have to tell someone, no. It might not be a bad idea to tell somebody, just, hey, just in case somebody asks, and you can also always ask for an informal opinion from the ethics commission.
And they turn those around fairly fast. They do not take long to get informal opinions. The formal opinions do take longer. They can take months, but the formal opinions period, if they say the course of law, according to whatever you provide. The informal opinions, they don't protect you like a formal opinion does, but they can turn it around a lot faster.
So when I self-promoted Saltair Aviation, it ended up to 99, so I said it again, am I self-promoted?
Aren't you making a contribution? Yeah.
That's correct.
Well, there's one more thing, the review of Continental Aerospace's liability insurance, environmental liability insurance.
I got an email from you before this afternoon. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. I haven't been provided with anything that tells me that there is environmental liability insurance in place. That is a requirement of the FBO under the minimum standards. I'm not saying they don't have it, I'm just saying I have a certificate of insurance that shows that.
I got the same email you got, I looked at it, there's liability insurance there for property, I'm not sure what's it covering, so we'll dig into it between that. I'd just like to do that. Okay?
Any questions? I'll email the leases tomorrow morning.
Thanks.
Since Hank's not here, I'll give you kind of, I'll take over the news report. Vince and I participated in the final inspection punch list Monday a week at the east side. I got a letter from them asking us, I guess there was, 4 things left to do. Some asphalt, redoing the asphalt, some filling in some, I guess, along the side of the not taxiway.
2 spots alongside taxiways where the ground was more than 3.5 inches below the asphalt, and they had to sod that in.
What was the 4th thing, I think?
And they had to,
They had an electrical issue.
they had an electrical issue that everything's been done, but it just hadn't shown up yet for them to fix. And then they're going to replace the one strip of the fuel-resistant asphalt that did not work.
So anyway, I think moving forward, probably be another week or so if they finish, and we'll accept the east side. I guess we would move we'd open it up for business. I don't know if that's for business, but
We need to discuss what we want to do, because there's not going to be anyone there, and we don't want a plane taxiing in, and now we've got one that's like sitting on the other side over there that we don't know who it is.
So we could just keep it closed until we decide what we do. Your advice.
That's what I would do. For the time being.
We'll accept it whenever I get a final thing from behind it, and then we'll just keep it closed until we move forward. Get something happening. Okay. Next thing is the 2019 AIP update. I mean, I've been told the money's in. We'll probably start the access road, which is the 2019 project. Probably start the 1st of October. It's been loaded into the system, into the ALDOT system, so we can actually start inspection or start construction probably 1st of October. It'll be a 90-day, it won't be long, it'll be done before Christmas. vote, it would be knocked out.
What's the value?
$375,000, so we need 5%. Update on the $250,000, last year this time we applied for a $250,000 aeronautics bureau grant for a general aviation terminal. I've been told off the record we probably get that money. And then, obviously we're not gonna build a general aviation terminal this year, but I think we can put that money aside for future use. I mean, I think when we get the money, we'll buy another CD, kind of have just have a, cash and money, there. And I'm gonna confirm that next week with Frank, that we can truly stoke,
What do you estimate the total cost?
yes, I sent you that number, would you?
But know how big we want to build it, anywhere from $750,000 up.
Would grant naming rights to some corporate entity that might have put their name?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, one of, those guys who were thinking about a flight school were thinking about, contributions of, they wanted a room in the general aviation terminal for dedicated flight school. Coastal Alabama would be interested in a room.
Mayor Daphne mentioned when they had the last meeting here last year, they might be interested.
I think if we got $400,000 or $500,000, and then we could do it for under $800,000, I think it's realistic.
Which I want to try, it's about 3,700 square feet.
I think it's 41.
It's got enough room for conference room.
Got enough room to put a flight school in it.
Got some office space in that.
Pilot stuff there.
Could you build it for $150 a square foot?
Probably.
We don't, we could get the city to help us with in-kind landscaping. They're really good at that.
Build parking lot. There's the money that's building parking lot for the terminal. There's the real money. Building another building is not a big deal.
That's absolutely.
Yeah. In that hole, it's a huge deal. It's a $250,000 hole. Got to be filled with. So the parking lot's the real deal. The building's just a metal building, decorated. Yeah, you can build a building for $150 all day long. You gotta have a parking lot.
All right, well, anyway, that's kind of where we're all at now. So, we'll know probably first of October. The way that'll work is after he finishes all the grants, we'll know that we're going to need the money. But I've been told that we probably will get the money. And I think it reflects well on this board too. That's real true discretionary money, and there's not much of it. So, Amy, the treasurer's report.
I'm hoping to get in on Friday with Jill to talk still about this. We're at adjusted. That's my number. So the budget for the year-to-date budget. We're good on revenues. I did want to point out in the projected for the ground lease rent, I did add in.
Yeah, so it's not going to be.
So
It's not
I
gonna
added
happen.
in 30,000, so I would take away at least one.
I take away two.
But we're still in it, so we still, I mean.
What she's saying is that we're not going to get those ground leases consummated before the end of this year.
End of September. So, I think we'll still be able to, on the revenue side. And I did check, we didn't get our fuel, check from Continental this month, but we got it like August 1st, so it's just not in this report.
We did get it, we just
Yes,
didn't get it.
just to get it by July. But that's why that's showing. money in there, and then maintenance to do that power washing on the pump station. So I don't think.
And it'll be a lot less than what you paid to have it done.
Well, we gotta pay for the painting of the building, we gotta pay for the generator repair, and the power washing. And that's things that were 2019. So, I think there's nothing.
So the bank accounts are looking good right now, but I have a $200,000 check I need to put right next for our principal payment on Friday, so that bonds will be empty.
So Jack, we paid $347,000 this year.
It's great.
I just want you to know.
I know, I'm happy.
We'd like to do more.
Yeah. You know, that's the hardest part of this job, is trying to wear both those hats. And, you know, I'd love to be able to look at the city and say the airport's not costing you that.
I'd love to say that.
And bringing in a lot, and in fact, I mean, that's just cash flow. We know that it's bringing a lot of value to the city.
And let's all have the only way we'll ever really knock that $7 million down is sell that property. Everything else, I mean, we won't ever be able to have leases or fuel flow or tenants to actually get that thing moved away until we sell a significant portion of the west side.
Well, the only way we hopefully that'll be long gone by the time we take over all these hangars one day. And in 25 to 30 years, we're gonna own
A lot of
millions of dollars worth of hangar space that I hope we lease at market value and not go, well, they've been there for 30 years and they built it, and, you know, so let's cut them a deal. I mean, we may not even be alive then,
I might not be around to see that negotiation.
but I hope that in the future they'll take full advantage of that, you know, and the authority will be able to do what they need to do just from ground leases and hangar leases.
And I'm putting 10 hangars.
I still hope we're not missing the mark on the fuel farm on the east side. I have a lot of heartache over that. I really do. And, you know, I've said it before and I will say it again. I hope that we haven't watered down a potential FBO on the east side by allowing people to provide their own fuel. And it's a huge revenue generator for even the authority. Even if we had that, you know, I know that you said we'd have to have qualified people, but if you could hire qualified people, if you were to sell tens of thousands of gallons of fuel a year, tens and tens of thousands of gallons of fuel a year, you know, there's quite a bit of profit to be made there. And that's, maybe it would go only to salaries or something else, you know, maintenance of FBO or something else, but I don't know. I'm looking at what it's doing for the city down at the marina, and it's a pretty good bit of money, and we're gonna be able to put that money back into the marina and make a lot of upgrades. I do have concern. I lose sleep over that. But there's another side of that too. So.
And then I think that if we did sell off part of that land, we would have to be looking at this potentially. So with the interest rate, then we'd have to redo that.
We just want to get something.
Okay.
We could, I mean, after the first year, we could, any money we get, principal, our we just go back to the principal. And, you know, and we've been guaranteed also, on the east side, the FAA does owe us $1 million. But they've committed to pay for that east side, you know, because they built on, they don't own it now. They've committed to give us $1 million. Now, we've made a choice internally as a board to plow forward and get other FAA, get other things done at the airport and not make them up with that money. But we, just remember that, we need to get that $1 million back. If I get my train, I've got a commitment that they're gonna give us $1 million too, to pay for that land on the east side. That we're
They've already reimbursed us. What did they what land did they reimburse us for?
$150,000.
We apply that directly to
Directly,
principal.
that's right.
And there's $1 million more?
From, that's 18 acres at 100,
What do we have to do to get, I mean, the sooner we get to it, the less interest we pay in. But if it means we're not gonna get
yeah, they're not gonna do.
money
that.
for infrastructure.
Quit taking grant money. Which we don't need to do till we get through, he said,
Right.
and research their own.
And at some point in time, we'll no longer have to do things to the report, we should sit back and take our $50,000.
We'll get on top of it. I mean, we're willing to wait.
Then we can take a quick look at the draft of the budget for next year. So, my first question is, when do we need to make the request for that?
Is that good for a year, or are we out of time? Or do we need to make another request for appropriation?
That was a 7-year approval,
I think it was, I think that it was multi-year.
7-year
If we're
approval.
okay.
Okay.
You're talking about for that, the payment, the debt service.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a multi-year.
Oh, so, okay, we don't need to get that.
Well, and I would always encourage you to get that resolution and take a look at it. You should probably put that in your files.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
need to get that to the council approved 7 years.
This, yes, but no, no, no. So let's see. Most things are kind of, I'm kind of looking rather than the monthlies, than the 2019-2020 budget versus what we're projecting to have this year. So I'm showing a little bit less revenue. That is mainly driven because we had that catch up on agricultural business last year. Everything else should be similar depending on what happens with the new farmers. So the 2018, 2019 projection will go down and then but next year should be what we're showing. Expense wise, again, about some 20,000 comes from, I mean, this year we ended up not spending as much on the maintenance as we had budgeted, so I don't want that to hurt our budget for next year, so.
And I would like to ask Continental, the maintenance, and it's really things that y'all think need to be done, like we repaired the concrete in front of the, things that you think from I call them your capital project, but they're really maintenance. I mean, we need to, that needs to be incorporated in the budget so there are no surprises. And I have 2 or 3 things that we're gonna, like that, like chips, like the, one operator, the plane,
Software.
yeah, the software. Well, that'll be a capital expense, or not, that'll be something that's captured. If we have things that you think need to be done, but this is the time to capture them in the budget process, and we'll talk about it next month. Does that make sense?
Just so we have that,
Yeah.
the big things and then what we're going to do.
But like the big one is to spend some $1,000, $40,000 to build the infrastructure for the fueling station on the east side. Yes, you know what I'm talking about there? I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, we committed to our tenants on the east side to have a fueling facility. And we got to build the infrastructure, basically the environmental safeguards into where they put their tanks on. That's a $30,000, $40,000 expense that we're gonna have to budget for. We also have to budget 5% of our grant, which is $15,000 or $20,000. So just.
So I don't have anything in that for that program unless it's covered in that.
It's not. No, that's a new, that's a.
But I don't have anything in for that festival fund.
I looked at, I said, the airport would get $15,000.
So can I go back to the revenues, projected revenues again, on the ground leases? That number, that's a real conservative number. If we enter into, say, 2, 3, 4 ground leases, that number could be a good bit more.
It'd be higher, yeah.
Does that number, oh, that's counting for 3? Oh, so the 2018 to 19 has how many ground leases in there? Okay, so
Three
this.
plus the original two.
Okay, so this one doesn't include the Kel's lease, Kel Jones lease, right? Well,
Renewal,
talking about that new lease, that new
yeah,
ground
we
lease.
include the renewal. I was assuming 3 would get executed this year. And would be finished.
I think they'll all be renewed
Okay, so you got into 18 and 19, you had 3 included in that.
Right, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
So
starting-
probably
starting in
won't,
July.
But that'll end up going down with the 2019, the budget for next year. Should be that.
Okay.
Get a forward back.
Okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay.
That's a $30,000 jump for 4 years.
What's that?
It's a $30,000 jump for 4 years.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, that number's starting to get pretty respectable now.
Yeah, it's becoming a nice
next year.
number.
I'm holding out for fuel.
And we're gonna be a year and a half before we recognize it, but then fuel's gonna start coming on top of that. So,
I mean, back to your revenue thing, I mean, we've increased revenue $60,000 a year for last week.
If you take out 108
I did that
for the city, it's down. What's that, 13,513. What'd you say, we're up 60 grand?
I thought it was over, from 2015 to 2019, $60,000 was reoccurring revenue.
That's exactly right.
Because the city's,
I'm about to pick up 30 more.
and we've managed expenses. We've done a pretty good job with expenses. The big deal is going to be cutting the grass. The grass is getting bigger. Bigger deal than it was.
So the net income at the bottom of the next year's budget would be right around 20,000, of which almost 19,000 would go towards the match on the.
That would be a thing. That would be, if you got something like this now,
Yeah,
and
that's,
just,
or we need to shift it for the, I mean, it's still, can we capitalize that?
if you capitalize it,
I mean,
then all it
it's
does
still
is.
cash, but
Yeah, it's
it's
still-
okay.
I mean, if you capitalize it, aren't you just fooling yourself?
Yeah, but I mean, just for this.
And we're gonna have to work on some gates and key cards and stuff like that on the east side too.
But don't you think we can put that in the FAA grant? Don't you think, they're always been good about security?
I hope so.
They-
It's not
they-
in what's in here now, and we're about to have tenants out here within, before we get the next round of money. So, something we need to think about.
I mean, every time I've ever asked about, I mean, that's real high up on the gates. We'll get the gates. In fact, he's gonna move the fence, I mean, it was something about moving the fence or something like that.
Yeah, but we're gonna need car key gates here before then. Electric gates.
Worried about my $200,000 point.
Worry about my $7,000 fee, but I get.
Just upset about that. Anything else? Anything else?
Very good.
Well, you do me a favor. I could do it, but it'd be nice if you put just a little, one little column under, revenue especially, and show the percent change from the 2015-2016. I'd like to show, that's a little political, but I'd like to really show where we've come in the last few short years.
You didn't do that on the expense side too, did you? Exactly.
Yeah.
Stayed level.
I didn't run those numbers yet.
It was pretty flat.
Yeah.
It's pretty flat.
Yeah. Now, when you see that big negative, you know, negative 120, what's that? That's 37.5% less reliance on the city. It's just annually. That's a big number. I mean, some of these numbers, if you say some of the revenues are up significantly.
You know, Jack, and something I always go back to, we spent $170,000 this year on putting in the FAA project. Remember, that was our match, you know, on our $3.5 million grant, that was $170,000. You know, we built, you know, a lot of stuff, and overall, it was almost $600,000. But we being that, because of the city giving us money, that's money that we didn't, you know, we went to.
Well, we're reinvesting our money to increase our revenues.
It's about $400,000 the last 4 years. We probably contributed enough.
About 600,000 since we started the, you know, this capital.
Yeah.
Decent.
Something I know it's progressive. I hope that, you know, if we can get that, if Dr. Eaton gets the authority to go forward on the economic impact studies. I mean, I'd like to go to the council sometime in October and give them an open, like we did maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I'll have some really good stuff.
I mean, they got the group started next up. I don't know if they'll have anything. I'm gonna see Frank Farmer this Tuesday, so I think.
So if we could do that, maybe we could schedule something in October for the work sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be good. My comments, maybe. It's pretty impressive, really. And like you said, not everybody can get those discretionary funds. To me, it's a sign of the confidence of the aeronautics bureau and the job that we're doing. So,
All right, that's, anything else? Any other business? Anybody have anything? Anybody want to comment? Matt? Scott?
You mentioned one time, what about doing an economic impact study, like Prattville did, to show the impact of the airport on the city of Fairhope?
The state was gonna do that, and they received about $400,000 over the government to do it. And then the transportation director over Dr. Eater turned it off. And then several sent a letter in, which our mayor sent a letter in, we sent a letter in to Director Cooper, and he presented it to them to start the economic impact study back. So it would probably, I don't know what the due date was, but it got delayed 6-8 months.
So they've done the baseline work, so it's
and at least Austin can put some loose numbers together that would be fairly accurate.
Well, there's one.
it is. You think, Justin, you think? Scott?
You know, one quick thing, the annual inspection report from ALDOT, there are 4 significant findings. I know are we still working on those? Because I know Jeff
They were
mentioned.
cut down 2 trees, we power washed the runway.
Right, but we haven't done the taxiway.
That's
Yeah.
to be done next month.
And we,
The lighting was done, and there was one about remove sod from runway surface and grade for drainage.
that's that thing about it. I think we've done
We
that.
sprayed like we put around.
Yeah. It's just on the side, he wanted the edge. I mean, she wanted the edge. We did cut the tree, because I was at that. They went to, like,
You correct the erosion settling and rutting and the safety.
probably not, because the budget's still work. That's the right there, right there in the safety area, there's some. Anything else? Okay. I'll adjourn the meeting at 5:50. Does anybody have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Hello.